My name is Holly, and I was on our couch when I found out. Not snooping, not suspicious. Just sitting there in the specific quiet of a Tuesday evening. Reid already asleep. The lamplight doing its thing, making everything look like nothing was wrong. A notification. A coworker I barely knew, someone I'd met exactly once at a company picnic, had tagged me in a group photo from last Saturday's work gala. I knew I wasn't at that gala. I clicked because I thought, mistake, easy to clear up. The photo was a long table of maybe 30 people, all dressed up, end of year formal. And in the center of it, standing exactly where a wife stands, her shoulder touching Reid's shoulder, her hand resting on his arm the way you only do when you've done it 100 times, was a woman I didn't know. Rust-colored wrap dress, hair up, and her hand wasn't gripping his arm. It was settled, just lying there, like it belonged there. Someone had tagged her as Holly Chen, a different Holly Chen, and hadn't noticed the mistake. Because why would they? She was standing exactly where Holly Chen was supposed to be. I sat very still. Her name was Petra Novak. I found her account in under a minute. Her bio said, event planner, dog mom. Probably at a work thing. I went back through her account the way I used to audit vendor contracts. Not frantically, just methodically looking for the pattern. The spring mixer, the holiday dinner, the client lunch series, Reid and Petra, and the same easy, unself-conscious body language in every photo. A year. 12 months of events. Every single one. Here's what our home life actually was, because I think it matters. Reid and I had a real one. Not a performed good marriage, a real one. He made coffee the exact way I liked it without ever being asked. On hard weeks, he'd run a bath and knock on the bathroom door and just walk away. We had 3 shows we rewatched on rotation. The same way you eat soup when you're sick. Not because it's exciting, but because it's yours. On Sunday mornings, the light in our bedroom came in sideways through the blinds, and he'd lie there half awake, rubbing the worn edge of the nightstand with his thumb the way he always did, and it felt like the whole world had slowed down. There was real love in that house. That's not something I'm willing to revise, but I'm not going to leave out my half of it. I had skipped every single work event for 3 years. Not angrily, not as punishment. I just found them boring. The standing around, the names I wouldn't remember, the small talk that went nowhere. I always told Reid, you go, have fun. He always came home. I never thought about the gap I was leaving. That one's on me. When we finally talked, 3 days after the photo, when I had organized my thoughts into something I could actually speak, he didn't lie. He said she started coming to things because it was easier than going alone. And then she became a habit, a version of himself he felt comfortable being in public. He said, I never stopped loving you. And what I felt, hearing that, was not relief. Because what he meant was, I loved you here, in this house, in the private version of our life, out there, in the world where he needed to be seen. He had needed something I wasn't giving. And instead of asking, he had quietly built a second life. One where Petra was the person beside him. One where his entire department for 12 full months had just assumed. They had toasted her at the holiday party, asked after her when he walked in alone, had a whole running story about who Reid was, and it had nothing to do with me. I wasn't the wife who'd been cheated on. I was the wife who didn't exist. That's the thing I couldn't get past. Not the affair, exactly. God, people are complicated. I understand that now in a way I wish I didn't. But the erasure, the fact that a community of people had built a complete picture of my husband's life, and I wasn't in it. That somewhere in my own marriage, I had become the secret. I kept coming back to his face during that conversation. How tired he looked. Not just guilty, genuinely tired, the way you look when you've been holding something heavy for a long time. That didn't make it better, but it made him a person instead of a story, which is almost harder. The question I keep turning over, Which is worse, the private betrayal, the nights, the lies, or the public one? A year of his whole professional world learning to see another woman as his partner, while I sat home in lamplight thinking everything was fine. He cheated on me with her body. He erased me with a community's memory. I don't know which one will stay with me longer. Have you ever found out you were the secret in your own life? Not the person they hid something from, the person they hid entirely? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone.